Have you ever felt like you just can't figure out men? You might find yourself wondering why they seem distant one moment, and then open up the next. Why do their actions sometimes leave you confused, even though you know they care? If you've ever been frustrated trying to understand the men in your life, you're not alone. The truth is, there's a powerful key to unlocking deeper connections with men that most people never realize, and once you understand it, your relationships will never be the same. In this video, I'm going to reveal the surprising truths about how men think, feel, and connect. By the end, you'll discover why men sometimes pull away, why commitment feels elusive, and most importantly, how to foster a deeper, more meaningful bond with the men in your life, whether in romance, friendship, or family. Stay tuned because we're going to break down myths you've probably been taught about men, explore their core emotional needs, and uncover the truth about why men commit or don't. Trust me, understanding this will not only help you navigate your current relationships but will empower you to attract and nurture healthier, more fulfilling connections moving forward. So stick with me through this video, and get ready to see men and your relationships through a whole new lens. This is a game changer. Don't miss it. If you are not subscribed, I recommend subscribing and activating the notification bell so you don't miss any videos. Your support means a lot to me, and if you enjoyed this video, you can help me continue spreading the valuable lessons by liking and sharing it. If you like the topic of this video, please comment 1. If you don't, please comment 0 to let me know how I can improve and make better videos for you. Now, let's begin. Part 1. The myths about men. Let's take a deep dive into the myths about men that so many of us, knowingly or unknowingly, have been conditioned to believe throughout our lives. These misconceptions are more than just falsehoods. They are barriers, invisible yet powerful, that hinder us from forming the deep, meaningful relationships we all deserve. One of the most persistent myths that we've all encountered at some point is that men are simple and easy to figure out, that they only care about 3 things: food, physical affection, and their egos being fed. We've all heard phrases like, "The way to a man's heart is through his stomach," or "Men just want peace at home," and maybe, just maybe, there's a hint of truth to these sayings in some specific cases. But when we stop and think about it, these statements are painfully reductive. They strip away the complexity of who men are and confine them to these narrow, almost childlike expectations. What's worse is that this kind of thinking encourages shallow, surface-level relationships, where we're not truly connecting with the man in front of us. We're just skimming the surface, never fully acknowledging the depth that lies beneath. The second myth is arguably the most damaging, that men are emotionally unavailable by nature. It's a myth that's so deeply embedded in our culture that many of us accept it as truth without even questioning it. Society tells us that men aren't wired to open up, that they don't possess the emotional depth that women are so often praised for having. But let me be very clear, this is a lie. Men are emotional beings. There's no doubt about it. The way they express their emotions might not always look the same as how women do, but that doesn't mean their feelings are any less real. Just because a man doesn't shed tears doesn't mean he isn't hurting, feeling, or loving. Often, his emotions show up in the most tangible ways, through his protectiveness, his determination to provide for those he loves, or his unwavering drive to solve problems. Yet, when we fail to recognize this, when we misinterpret their actions as coldness or indifference, we only push them further into emotional isolation, and a painful cycle of misunderstanding begins. And then, perhaps the most destructive myth of all, that men don't care about relationships as much as women do. How many times have we heard that men are primarily focused on their careers, their hobbies, or their physical desires, with emotional connections just an afterthought? Society perpetuates this idea as if it's an undeniable truth, but let me share a little secret. Men want connection, love, respect, and understanding just as deeply as women do. The difference is that they don't always know how to express it or how to ask for it. Their needs may not be voiced in the same way, but rest assured, those needs are there. They long for intimacy, for that soul-deep connection, for a bond that transcends the physical or superficial. It's a truth that so many men are often too afraid to speak out loud, not because they don't want it, but because they've been taught that expressing such needs is a weakness. Why do these myths persist, then? Why are they so pervasive? The answer lies, in part, within men themselves, but not in the way we might think. It's not that they are naturally emotionally distant or uninterested in deep relationships. It's that they are socialized from a young age to uphold these stereotypes. Boys are taught to man up, to suppress their emotions, to never cry or show vulnerability. They learn that to be strong is to be stoic, to be emotionless, and to hide their true selves behind walls built from expectations and societal pressure. Imagine carrying that burden with you for decades, having your true emotional needs and desires buried deep inside, with no safe space to express them. It's no wonder so many men appear emotionally distant when, in reality, they're only following a script they were handed long ago. But here's the critical point I want to make. As women, especially those of us who have had the privilege of living and learning from our own experiences, we have a unique ability to see through these myths. We've lived through the highs and lows of life, we've experienced the pain and beauty of relationships, and we bring with us a level of empathy and understanding that many younger women may still be developing. But it's up to us to dismantle these stereotypes, to look at men for who they are, multifaceted, emotional, and deeply human. So let me ask you this. Have you ever unknowingly held onto any of these myths about men? Have you ever judged a man's behavior, perhaps without fully understanding his emotions, just because it didn't align with your expectations? If so, please don't feel ashamed. We've all been there. I have. I've been guilty of reducing men to these stereotypes too. But today we have an opportunity. Today we can begin to see men through a lens of compassion, curiosity, and, above all, understanding. Let's not settle for the outdated ideas that limit us. Let's embrace a new narrative, one where we allow men the space to be fully who they are, beautifully complex, deeply emotional, and deserving of the love and connection they long for. Part 2. The core truth about men. Now that we've taken the time to dismantle the most common misconceptions about men, let's dive into something deeper. The one truth about men that, once fully understood, has the power to change everything in how we relate to them. This truth isn't just something to casually acknowledge. It's something that, when truly internalized, can transform not only our relationships with men but also our understanding of what drives them on a fundamental level. Here it is. Men crave a sense of purpose and validation more than anything else. It's not just about feeling loved, although, of course, that's essential. No, it's about feeling valued, respected, and recognized for the role they play in the world, for who they are at their core, and for what they contribute. If you are still watching this video and find these lessons useful, please comment 1 below to let me know that you are still here with me. This need for validation runs so deep within men that it often shapes the very essence of how they navigate relationships, how they perform at work, and even how they engage in social settings. From the moment they're born, the world around them begins to whisper a subtle yet powerful message. Your worth is tied to your actions. From a young age, boys are conditioned to equate their self-worth with achievement. Be the provider, they hear. Protect your family, be strong, and never fail. Success becomes their standard for self-acceptance, and with that comes the internal pressure to constantly prove their value. As they grow into adulthood, this drives a perpetual need to demonstrate their worth, whether it's to their partners, their friends, their colleagues, or even to themselves. Think about it. Whether it's fixing a leaky pipe, paying the bills without complaint, or heroically removing the spider from the bathroom, men thrive on feeling useful, on being needed, and on receiving genuine appreciation for their efforts. It's not about grand gestures. It's in the small, everyday acts that they are silently seeking acknowledgement. But beneath this constant striving for recognition lies something often unspoken, something many men carry with them in silence. The silent fear of inadequacy. Even the most seemingly confident men harbor a quiet, nagging doubt inside them that maybe, just maybe, they're not enough. Not strong enough. Not successful enough. Not capable enough. It's a vulnerable truth they seldom admit to anyone, not even to the ones they hold closest. And so, this hidden fear manifests in ways that can be misinterpreted: defensiveness when criticized, withdrawal when they feel they've failed, or frustration when they can't fix something, anything. Once you come to understand this profound need and the emotional landscape men navigate, their actions take on an entirely different meaning. That defensiveness, it's not arrogance, it's fear. Fear of not being enough. That withdrawal, it's not a lack of interest, it's a shield against feeling inadequate. That frustration when they can't fix something, it's the deep ache of a man struggling with feelings of failure. When you truly grasp this, you gain the emotional insight needed to respond to men in a way that fosters connection, rather than creating distance. However, there's an important distinction to make. Acknowledging a man's need for validation doesn't mean you have to cater to his ego or diminish your own needs in the process. It's about finding that delicate balance where both people in the relationship feel truly valued and appreciated for who they are. Respect isn't about subservience. It's about mutual understanding. Think back to a time when you recognized a man's effort, even for something as simple as taking care of a household chore or fixing something around the house. You acknowledged his work, no matter how small. How did he react? He likely lit up in a way that showed you just how much that validation meant to him. For many men, that kind of acknowledgement is the emotional fuel they need to thrive, to feel secure in their relationships, and to rise to the occasion when needed. Here's where it gets tricky, though. Men won't often ask for this kind of validation outright. They won't come right out and say, "I need to feel respected," or "tell me I'm doing a good job." They won't lay those emotional cards on the table for fear of appearing vulnerable or weak. Instead, they rely on subtle, almost invisible cues from those around them. And when those cues aren't given, they often internalize the silence, believing that they are falling short, when in reality, they're not. The good news here is that once you fully understand this core truth about men, you have the power to unlock deeper, more fulfilling relationships with them. When you see men for who they truly are, beneath the layers of societal expectations and emotional armor, you can respond to them in a way that addresses their fundamental needs, without compromising your own. This understanding has the power to reshape your interactions, transforming them into something more authentic and emotionally enriching. And here's the most powerful part. When you understand the core truth about men, you naturally become someone they feel drawn to, someone they feel safe with. They'll open up to you, trust you, and most importantly, value you in return. It's a transformation in how men perceive you. You become someone they respect, someone they feel emotionally connected to, and someone they want to invest in. When you learn how to communicate in a way that speaks to both their hearts and their minds, you tap into a power that fosters trust, respect, and deep, lasting connection. It's not just a game changer. It's the key to unlocking a whole new level of emotional intimacy and understanding. Part 3. How men experience connection. Let's dive even deeper into understanding how men truly experience connection. Because, let's face it, this is an area where many of us falter. It's not that we don't care or that we're indifferent. It's simply that we often make the mistake of assuming that men experience connection in the same way women do. But the truth is, men's emotional worlds are wired differently, and when we understand this, it can completely transform how we relate to them and how they relate to us. For many women, the path to connection is paved through verbal communication, emotional openness, and the bond created through shared vulnerability. We talk about our feelings, express what's on our minds, and bond through our words. This verbal exchange creates closeness, and it feels natural to us. But for men, that journey doesn't always look the same. While men can absolutely appreciate and even desire deep conversations, their sense of connection is often built on action, respect, and trust rather than words alone. They connect through doing, not just talking. Think about this for a moment. When two male friends spend time together, they often engage in an activity. Fishing, golfing, or working on a project, for example. There's little need for constant talking or emotional sharing. the act itself becomes the bond. It's in the shared experience, in the doing, where the connection thrives. This dynamic carries over into romantic relationships too. Men often show their love, their commitment, and their care in ways that might not be immediately obvious to us. It might not be through grand romantic gestures or heartfelt conversations, but through actions that demonstrate their feelings. Fixing something around the house, taking care of finances, or making sure you have everything you need before you leave for a trip. These acts, though they might seem simple, speak volumes to a man, even though they may not come with long, flowery speeches or deep heart-to-heart discussions. But here's the flip side that can be tricky. When a man feels disconnected, he might not express it directly through words. Instead, you might see it reflected in his behavior. He might pull away emotionally, become distant, or act frustrated. But what's going on beneath the surface? He's likely feeling unacknowledged, unimportant, or maybe even like he's failing in his role as a partner, provider, or protector. This is often the crux of the issue. He's not withdrawing because he doesn't care, but because he feels like he's not being seen or respected. Understanding this shift in behavior can completely change how you approach these situations. Instead of assuming that he's disengaged or uninterested, you can look at his actions as clues to what's happening. Is he feeling respected? Is he being acknowledged for his contributions? Is he feeling like he's falling short in some way? When you begin asking these questions, you start to peel back the layers and uncover the deeper reasons behind his behavior. Another fundamental element to understand about men and connection is how deeply they value trust. Trust is the bedrock of any relationship, but for men, it goes beyond fidelity or promises kept. It's about trusting his abilities, his intentions, and his character. A man feels most connected when he knows you believe in his capacity to do the right thing, even when he falters or makes mistakes. Criticism, particularly when it feels constant or unrelenting, can severely damage that trust. It can create a rift he doesn't know how to fix, because trust is something that, once chipped away, is hard to restore. So, what does this mean for creating a stronger connection with a man? It means tuning into his way of expressing care and acknowledging his actions, even the small, seemingly insignificant ones. Let him know that you appreciate his efforts, and give him the space to solve problems in his way, without micromanaging or doubting him. And perhaps most importantly, be patient. Many men don't open up overnight. For them, connection often takes time. It's a gradual process. The more they feel respected, trusted, and valued, the deeper that connection will grow. But let me be clear, this doesn't mean you should suppress your own needs or lower your standards in any way. Men deeply respect women who respect themselves. Setting healthy boundaries, expressing your desires clearly and confidently, and showing that you know your worth strengthens the bond between you. When you lead with compassion, clarity, and self-respect, men don't just feel connected to you, they feel inspired by you. They admire the strength and independence you bring to the relationship. Remember, creating a true connection isn't about changing yourself or trying to fix him. It's about understanding his emotional language and meeting him halfway. If you are still watching this video and find these lessons useful, please comment 2 below to let me know that you are still here with me. When you get this right, when both of you understand each other's needs and ways of expressing love, you create a partnership where both feel valued, understood, and deeply connected. And that, my friends, is the foundation of a relationship that's truly worth having. It's about embracing each other's differences, communicating openly, and honoring the unique ways we connect. When you do that, you build something lasting and meaningful. Part 4. Why men choose to commit or don't. One of the most puzzling and emotionally charged questions for women is, why do some men choose to commit fully, while others hold back, even when everything seems perfect for a relationship to thrive? The answer to this age-old mystery might just change how you view your relationships with men, offering a deeper understanding that could transform your entire approach to love and commitment. First, it's important to realize that for men, commitment is much more than just love. Yes, love is certainly a central part of the equation, but it's not the whole picture. A man can deeply love someone and still hesitate to commit if he doesn't feel that the relationship aligns with his sense of identity and purpose. Men don't just commit because they feel a certain way at the moment. They commit because they see this relationship as a reflection of who they are, of what they believe in, and of what they want from life. It's a bond they need to feel mirrors their vision for the future. They aren't simply looking for love, they're looking for a connection that aligns with the essence of who they are, and when they find it, that's when commitment becomes a natural choice. So, what does it take for a man to truly commit? Two crucial elements come into play: security and inspiration. Let's start with security because it's often misunderstood. Security in a relationship doesn't just mean having a steady job, a nice home, or a reliable routine. Emotional security is the foundation that a man needs to feel to fully commit. Men need to feel safe in their vulnerability, knowing that they can be their true selves without fear of judgment or rejection. This isn't just about not being judged for their flaws. It's about knowing that their imperfections won't be used against them. There's a deep-rooted fear in many men that if they open up emotionally, they will be seen as weak. So, for them, it's incredibly important to feel accepted for all they are, the good, the bad, and the messy parts too. When they feel like their vulnerabilities are met with empathy rather than disdain, that's when they start to imagine a future with someone. But security isn't just emotional. It's about feeling secure in the relationship itself. A man needs to know that his efforts are appreciated and that he's not being compared to others, whether it's past relationships or unrealized expectations. If he senses that you're still holding on to past hurts or that you're expecting someone else to fulfill an emotional void, it can create a feeling of unease. He'll feel like he's being held to a standard he can't live up to, which leads him to hesitate, unsure of whether he can truly measure up. Men want to know that their love is seen, their efforts valued, and that they're not just one option among many. Now let's talk about inspiration. This is where things get exciting. While emotional security is necessary, men also need inspiration to feel motivated to commit. They aren't looking for a woman to put on a pedestal and worship them, but they do want someone who challenges them in a healthy and uplifting way. A man wants to feel like he's growing in the relationship, not just coasting along, stuck in the mundane and predictable. He wants to feel challenged, inspired, and encouraged to be the best version of himself. This doesn't mean he's looking for someone to fix him or be his muse in the dramatic sense. It's much more about the energy you bring into the relationship. When you live your life with passion, confidence, and self-respect, you automatically inspire him to bring out the best in himself. Inspiration comes from within you, not because you're trying to impress him, but because you're thriving independently, passionately, and authentically. Men commit to women who make them feel like their lives are fuller, better, and more meaningful because of the presence they have in it, not just because of the things they do for them. But what happens when a man hesitates to commit, even when everything seems perfect? This is the painful truth. If a man doesn't feel ready to commit, it's not necessarily about you. It's about where he is in his own life. His hesitance might stem from unresolved fears, emotional baggage, or simply not being sure of his own goals or desires. Perhaps he's dealing with unfinished business, whether it's career uncertainty, emotional healing, or fear of making the wrong choice. If a man doesn't feel ready within himself, pushing him to commit can often have the opposite effect. It may trigger more insecurity, pushing him further away instead of drawing him closer. So, what should you do if you find yourself in a relationship with a man who hasn't fully committed? This may be hard to hear, but the best course of action is to stop focusing all of your energy on him and start focusing on yourself. Rediscover your worth, pour energy into your passions, and set your own goals. When you demonstrate, through your actions, that you are fully capable of thriving, whether or not he commits, it shifts the dynamic. You show him that you are not waiting around, desperately hoping he'll make up his mind. You're living your life to the fullest, and you're enough just as you are. This may sound counterintuitive, But by stepping back and allowing him the space to either step up or step away, you'll either see him rise to meet you, or you'll free yourself to find someone who's already ready to commit. Either way, you win because you are staying true to your own needs and desires. In the end, the beauty of understanding this truth about men lies in the freedom it offers. By releasing the pressure to force anything, you give the relationship the space to evolve naturally. When commitment does happen, it will feel authentic, built on mutual respect, trust, and a shared vision for growth together. Relationships that develop in this way are not just about fulfilling needs. They're about growing together, creating something beautiful and meaningful, and allowing each person to become the best version of themselves. This kind of commitment is powerful, lasting, and filled with deep emotional resonance, something that's built over time and not rushed into. Part 5. How this one shift changes everything. Let's pause and reflect for a moment. Understanding men in this new light isn't just important, it's nothing short of transformative. When you truly internalize these truths, everything changes. You stop seeing men as puzzles that need to be solved or projects that need fixing. You stop trying to fix something that isn't broken. Instead, you begin to see them for what they truly are. Human beings, just like you, navigating their own lives, carrying their own stories, their hurts and desires. Men are not these elusive creatures that need decoding. They are just people doing the best they can with the tools they've been given. This is the shift. When you approach relationships with empathy, understanding, and compassion, something magical happens. Everything about how men respond to your shifts. When you understand a man, truly understand him, you permit him to be himself, unfiltered and authentic. You stop seeing him through the lens of what you think he should be, and instead, you see him as he is, flawed, beautiful, complicated, and human. This act of unconditional acceptance is powerful. Here's why it matters so much. Men, in general, often walk through life carrying an emotional weight they don't fully understand themselves. They've been taught by society to be strong, to succeed, to never show vulnerability, and to never express weakness. But here's the catch. Society doesn't teach them how to process emotions. It doesn't teach them how to build deep, meaningful connections. Instead, it burdens them with the idea that emotions are something to be hidden or suppressed. It's as though they're caught in a constant tug-of-war between who they truly are and who they've been told to be. Now imagine this. When a woman comes along who truly gets him, not just tolerates him, but gets him, it's like a breath of fresh air. She sees through all the noise, the walls, the defenses, and she accepts him. She doesn't judge him for the ways he's been shaped by the expectations of the world around him. Instead, she gently supports him and challenges him to grow, all without demanding perfection. And it's in this space of acceptance and growth that a profound transformation begins to take place. If you are still watching this video and find these lessons useful, please comment 3 below to let me know that you are still here with me. What happens next? When a man feels truly understood, he begins to open up. He lowers his defenses, and suddenly, you're not just talking anymore. You're connecting on a deeper level. He starts listening, not just to the words you say, but to the intention behind them. You can feel the change in the way he interacts with you. He puts in more effort, not because he has to, but because he genuinely wants to. Your happiness, your well-being, and your joy become his source of fulfillment. It's no longer about fulfilling obligations. It's about wanting to make you happy because, when you're happy, it's a reflection of the love and connection between you both. And then there's the vulnerability. The most beautiful thing that begins to unfold is that, when a man feels safe with you, his heart begins to open. Remember, most men have never been taught how to express their emotions. But when they feel safe, when they feel understood, they begin to share parts of themselves they've never revealed before. Thoughts, dreams, hopes, fears. These are the parts of him that are tucked away, hidden deep inside. But you've created a safe space, and that's when he starts letting go. This shift, though, isn't about manipulation. It's not about pretending to be someone you're not or playing games. It's about creating a relationship dynamic rooted in mutual respect, value, and support. You don't have to pretend to be perfect. You just need to be authentic. And when you show up authentically, it inspires him to do the same. Here's what's fascinating. Once you embody this mindset, once you show up with understanding, with compassion, men begin to see you differently. They don't just see you as a partner or companion. They see you as something rare, something irreplaceable. Why? Because you're not adding to the chaos of their lives. Instead, you're offering peace, acceptance, and a love that helps them evolve into better versions of themselves. And in turn, they want to become better. Not just for you, but for themselves too. And here's where this shift also benefits you. It frees you from the exhausting cycle of overanalyzing every little thing, overgiving, or feeling like you have to overcompensate in relationships. You stop tying your sense of self-worth to his actions or his emotions. Instead, you grow rooted in your self-confidence and self-respect. You no longer seek validation from him. You've already found it within yourself. Once you make this shift, the dynamics of your relationships, whether with men, family, or friends, become smoother, more authentic, and infinitely more rewarding. You stop trying to win approval or affection. Instead, you foster connections based on true mutual understanding and respect. And the best part? Once you begin to see men through this lens of understanding, you'll never again feel confused, frustrated, or powerless in your relationships. You'll understand how to navigate the complexities of their emotions with grace, clarity, and wisdom. And in doing so, you'll become the kind of woman who leaves a lasting, profound impact on every man you encounter. The kind of woman who is irreplaceable because she offers the rarest gift of all: acceptance, compassion, and the wisdom to help others grow. As we wrap up today's discussion, take a moment to reflect on everything we've talked about. What stands out to you the most? What has shifted in the way you think about relationships and the way you understand men? I'd love to hear from you. Comment below and share one thing you've learned today that you're going to start practicing in your life. Whether it's about how to create deeper connections, how to approach relationships with compassion, or how to stop overcompensating and start valuing yourself more, your thoughts matter. If you enjoyed this video, please leave your comment below, and don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to our YouTube channel for more insightful content like this. Your support means so much, and it helps us bring more of these meaningful conversations to life. Thanks for watching.